All right. I'm probably the least good at speaking of everybody here, but I'll try my best. My name is Ferf. I'm one of the managing directors here at the Jumpstart Foundry. And my responsibility is primarily for the mentors that are here. I'm 33, male, obviously, and while I do like long walks on the beach, really at heart I'm a startup junkie. I started my first company in 2001 when I was 22, and based off what I've seen from the startups today, that's actually a late bloomer. That first company was called Anrovia Design, and since then I've created companies or helped create companies called Shirts by Mail, Podcast Alley, Pod Show, Mevio, Change Healthcare, Carl Says, Checked In, the Jumpstart Foundry, and most recently a company I call Curious. I've lived in and started companies in Indiana, in Chicago, in San Francisco, and most recently in Nashville. So I've lived a lot of places and I've started businesses a lot of places. And when I meet mentors or startups here in Nashville, they always ask me, why Nashville? Why did you come here and why did you start here? Originally, my parents are entrepreneurial as well. They own a manufacturing business, and they did a lot of distribution out of Knoxville. I moved to the area so I could be near them because I thought it'd be cool to work with a family business. I only ended up being here a short time before I raised $8 million and moved to San Francisco for about 4 years. Turns out the Valley, while interesting, is pretty boring. And I was brought back to work with a company called Change Healthcare here in Nashville that's doing amazing things to help people save money on their healthcare expenses. Another big reason I've stayed in Nashville, though, is this concept I introduced last year called the Southern Startup Hospitality. It's a truly beautiful thing. Nashville is full of kind, generous people who are willing to give freely of their time, effort, knowledge, and sometimes, in the interest of today, their money to startups and people with great ideas. So we've talked about it a few times, but I want to rehash a little bit of it. Why Nashville and why Jumpstart Foundry exists today. 3 years ago, when the 20 to 25 of us got together, we formed the Jumpstart Foundry out of the belief that Nashville and the technology and the startup scene was doing well, but it needed a push. It needed a little bit of formality, a little bit of process in order to get it going. We also knew that there were 4 requirements to build our dream of Nashville being the tech startup scene that we wanted it to be. The first one was that we needed young, hungry talent. And with 6 universities and the 7 startups you're seeing today, I think we're proving that the opportunity for young people in Nashville to start companies is tremendous. The second thing, we needed a tech scene to support it. I think 3 years ago, a lot of people would have thought that we do have a lot of technologists here, but they weren't a very cohesive picture. And I think through the help of the Jumpstart Foundry, the other accelerators, and the Entrepreneur Center, we've actually been able to rally a lot of the developers to understand there is a lot of value in working with a startup or starting your own business here in Nashville. The next thing we needed was the angels and the investors, the people who could fund these next generation of ideas. And I'd like to think with a few hundred people here today, we've indicated or proven the fact that angels and investors are willing to invest in technology in Nashville. And the last thing that we needed was tremendous mentors. That's really what I'm here to talk about today. Everything else so far was really just an ego boost for me to feel good about this speech. So I guess I should talk about what mentorship is. Everyone before me has talked about it. They talked about the value of the mentor pool, the value of the mentors that help them. And we talk about mentorship a lot, but no one's really defined what it is. So I went to Wikipedia and looked it up. And it was very verbose, but I'll try to shrink it down a little bit. They define it as mentoring is a process for the informal transformation of knowledge, social capital, and the psychosocial support perceived by the recipient as relevant to the professional development of their career. Mentoring entails informal face-to-face communication during a sustained period of time between a person who is perceived to have greater relevant knowledge to the person who is perceived to have less. I think that's a fairly good description. And there's a lot of interesting examples of what a mentor really is. It could be a company leader, your boss, the CEO. It could be your parents, a coach, a religious figure. It could be a friend. I truly believe that mentors are everywhere. I would actually believe that most of us in this room today are probably good mentors, excellent mentors, but a lot of us don't even know it yet. So we did this earlier. I want to see how many people are left. Raise your hand if you're already a Jumpstart Foundry mentor or a mentor for the Entrepreneur Center. That's what I'm talking about. There are a ton of us here who are impacted by a mentor in our life that have driven us to make these decisions. So I got to ask myself, for all these things that I think are valuable, that mentorship is truly valuable to a startup becoming successful, is it possible to actually start a business without mentorship? And I would say, of course, it is possible, but let me lay out some pros and cons as I see them of starting a business without mentorship. The first pro, I guess, of not having a mentor is that no one is going to tell you that you're wrong. The con is no one is going to tell you that you're wrong. The second pro of not having a mentor is that you can focus on the things that you think are important. The con, of course, is there's no one there to tell you you're wrong. The third one is that you believe you can absolutely do everything yourself. So I think you see where I'm going with this. I believe mentorship is extremely important, and doing it by yourself without mentors, and co-founders can be mentors, is an extremely bad idea. So I figured if I'm going to talk about mentors and how I think they're really valuable, I should at least list a couple of mine. And I won't go into extreme detail, but both my parents, like I mentioned, are entrepreneurs. They instilled the fact in me that I need to live every day fully, and do that every single day. My partners and co-founders from all the companies I work for, they push me forward in a business realm every single day to be better at what I do. My wife, brother, and friends all do the same every single day. And I'm actively involved in a peer mentor group with other startup Nashvilles here in Nashville, some who are one step above where I am, and some who are one step below. So some people have solved the problems I'm already facing, and I'm able to solve some of the problems they're facing as well. So peer mentor groups are just as important as other type of mentoring. I can't actually imagine my life without mentors. You know, again, I think they're really important, and most of us don't realize yet that we are mentors. So let's get a bit deeper about Jumpstart Foundry mentors. I was hoping to pull a screen up here, and after I digested and pulled down all the stats on the mentors, the Jumpstart Foundry has hundreds of them. They're a very diverse bunch in age, gender, background, interest, and more. But after I started churning through the data for a few hours, I couldn't find anything that was statistically relevant. And this is actually really good. It's a very diverse set of people, which is exactly what Nashville needs. We have males, females, young, old. We have really old people. I think Jermaine is still here somewhere. Sorry, Jermaine. We have CEOs and first-time entrepreneurs, and we have people from absolutely every industry, including finance, legal, technology. We have doctors, professors, scientists, healthcare experts, musicians, recruiters, sales, marketing, furniture makers, creatives, and people who are just freaking interesting. They all have industry experience, startup experience, some modicum of swagger, and proven success in accelerating businesses forward. So a question I get a lot is, why do mentors get involved? And I've sat probably with maybe half of this room, you know, hundreds of mentors over the last 3 years of being involved with the Jumpstart Foundry, and I've surveyed them to figure out why they get involved. And I get a lot of the same answers, which are amazing for all aspects of startup life. They're interested in passing the torch. Somebody has helped them in their life, and they're looking to help somebody back in return. A lot of them are nerds at heart, meaning they want to be involved in the technology community and see what's coming out. They want to help the startups avoid the pitfalls that they went through. They want to make intros to industry leaders, or more importantly, maybe they are the industry leader, so you've introed yourself to them already. They like looking at problems in a new way, they like networking with other mentors, and they like to learn by teaching. So all this to say, I believe Nashville has the greatest mentors. Who would agree with me? I kind of tricked you on that one because we haven't really talked about what makes a great mentor, but I'm going to assume you know. Let me lay out a couple bullet points before I wrap this up. Most mentors are brutally honest, brutally. Marcus Whitney is a perfect example. He yells at everyone the first day he meets them. I don't think anyone thought Marcus liked him the first time they met him face to face. Second, they give time freely. Third, they want to see the future of Nashville explode. They commit to learning side by side with the founders. And these next two I find really interesting. They teach founders things that the founders don't know why they're learning until it comes time to use it. This is almost like the Mr. Miyagi wax on, wax off. He had no idea why he was washing that car until the karate tournament. The next thing is, sorry. They teach founders things, let's see. They lead by example so that when the founder gets into a situation, they remember the things the mentor taught them and they know how to suit up. So I'm sure the last question on your mind right now is, if I'm not a mentor already, how can I be one? Nashville needs mentors, the Jumpstart Foundry needs mentors, and the startups that are pitching here today always need more mentors. For those of you who are interested in helping the future of Nashville be awesome, you can head over to the Jumpstart Foundry website, jumpstartfoundry.com, sign up for the newsletter, and you will get information on how to sign up to be a mentor. The only bad side to being a mentor is that you're required to buy me a cup of coffee and prove that you're worthy. So thank you for your time today, and I hope you all believe in the power of mentorship and the value mentors bring to the Nashville startup community.